State.
Question, when how long you can delay doing the roof at the high school?
We'll have a definitive answer. Kyle, when are they doing the scans?
So they did the infrareds here at this.
Oh, they already did them?
Wednesday, they're doing tomorrow night.
Okay, how long does it take to get the report?
I can reach out to Matt Monday.
Okay, so I mean, we'll have them during the summer.
Yes. Just wondering if you go ahead and spend cost of a new roof and then you apply to tear the building down. You know,
That's our concern.
Well, yeah, that is the concern.
Do we wait until, I know up in East Long Meadow, it was his town. They had buckets in the hallways of the high school because the roofs were leaking so bad.
We had pizza boxes and windows. Come on.
And Public Works had pizza boxes in their windows. So they really did, wait until it was way beyond. There was leaks in places where the electrical boxes had to be disconnected.
And I
We don't want to get to that.
your presentation that there were problems with the at the high school like that. Just gonna present quite a dilemma if that comes back to the very.
You cut out the bad spots and patch them.
Yeah,
Rubber, you can use.
yeah, with this,
Carlin probably won't want to do it, but there are companies out there that actually would come in and cut half a roof out.
If it's an interim, yeah.
Well, it's
At some point,
stop the water from coming in. Eventually, yes, I understand.
at some point we have to say, we're not building a new school and we need to do a new. What?
So isn't that part of the rationale in terms of, how you're making the case for saving money in the end? This could be part of the rationale in terms of, would that make sense at all? To
for sure.
people to say, this is what we're facing.
Right.
If we don't do this, then we have to do this.
And I think if you look in GWWO's report, or actually QA&M's report, they give you a whole list of what needs to be done over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So it's not spend money, it's you're gonna have to spend something at some point,
And the other issue is the deficiencies, so it drops the reimbursement rate right down. So your deficiencies are gonna say, all right, we're gonna give you 35%
With a new roof.
for the new roof.
And
For a $10 million roof, and I'm just throwing 10 million out.
she's.
Start putting together this list that Jamie Foster suggested we have. That includes. I guess route two is if we needed to do that, then we couldn't get reimbursed for something else, right?
Right, if we do that, then.
So that's another part. So
You
that
can
was,
figure out stuff pretty quickly.
can't do it if we do the right.
So my thought is if we take the summer to sort of regroup both sides, both the town government side and the Board of Ed side. I know one of the things that I've spoken to Betsy about, because she's very clear that she feels our communications need improvement, that we have a communications committee and that it be as part of the Board of Ed. And I think I talked to you about that.
You did.
Right? Oh, you look a little surprised. I thought I talked to you.
No, you did.
So that we have Board of Ed members that are maybe taking, like you said, all the pieces, and maybe we include the ad hoc members that to help with that.
I would think it would be this group now.
Well, they would, unless they're found right away.
Yeah.
Can you have a subcommittee off of my ad hoc?
That's what I
Like,
think
always
would be-
legitimate questions.
Think about
PTO. Saying just like that, it would actually be part of this.
Yeah, just make it part of this committee.
because if we're the ones, but if there was work to do, like say there was a plan. Andrea, knowing you're reaching the community and with parents, maybe there's a plan and then there might be a subcommittee
Right.
that then takes it a step
Right.
further, which would be something that we really haven't done before. And I think that would be very advantageous.
If you're talking about using the PTO, I'm just wondering how
big, yeah.
How many-
How many people are you? You're like three?
It's the same three parents.
Yeah. So
It's not.
it's more your parent network and your PTO.
We saw
network.
the response we got for that.
It would be, you know, it would be that outrage, right? Maybe it's just the start of, you know, bringing some illusion. I wouldn't discount it.
No,
I wouldn't discount it because
yeah.
something's got to spark somebody's interest somewhere.
No, I think you just gotta keep doing it instead of having this big space in between each event. Because I,
Eyes.
when we're
And
not,
then pies too.
we're not doing enough, but I'm like, what else do we do for this?
And then pies.
Yeah, that's true. He's great here.
You get a pie if you come.
Um,
Selling them again.
Well, Jason, what's your feeling on the ad hoc? Should we do it? Should we wait? Should we?
You know, it's up to the body. I don't think you gain anything by delaying. I wouldn't reconstitute it if the plan is to take the summer off and regroup in whatever fashion, because then you're just blurring 2 months of your,
Yeah, the 18
your
months.
period, 2 months, 2 of the 8 months. You know, if the intention is to take the summer off, then we'll repanel you in August. If the intention is to, you know, try and address some of the points that Representative Foster raised on the 27th, then we'll reconstitute you on the 2nd.
So my thought just was, and I'm not trying to persuade anybody, but my thinking was that if the Board of Ed has some suggestions about those recommendations and the Board of Selectmen have some suggestions about those recommendations, that we then come to this ad hoc committee with maybe a clearer understanding of where we're headed as an ad hoc committee. But that's just my feeling. If the majority feels that we should keep on going through the summer, that's fine. I don't really care. I just thought the summer would be a breather and kind of regroup. But
The biggest question, I think, would not be whether we go through the summer, but if there's enough time, if you skip the summer to move forward with whatever's necessary. And if it's not necessary to meet in July and August, why not wait until September and begin?
so one of the things that Jamie and actually the climate out there, and I think you said it as well, are our voters going to be next year at this time ready to start thinking about funding, bonding? Or are we, if we can't pass a budget, which is what Jamie said, if you can't pass a budget, how are you going to pass this referendum? Is our goal this year, this coming year, or should it be another year down the road when maybe the climate is better financially, economically for the everyday guy that's spending
But then you have
$60?
season coming up and you have that's gonna be the next year's issue. I mean, I think in this town, we have an older population and just a smaller population. We always have people who are financially concerned. I think it's gonna be our job as a group here, as Board of Ed, whoever's doing it, to make sure that our community understands there isn't a no-cost option. There's nothing that isn't going to tax.
Yeah.
It's going to cost the
Money.
community money regardless if we don't get new schools. Nothing, it's not like that's gonna go away. We're going to need to spend money. And I think we just need to really be getting it out there that, you know, these buildings are 70 years old and we need new schools. We're really gonna just have to get that message along. I don't know if there's gonna be a year where people are gonna be pumped to like
There's a lot
spending
of
more
extra
money,
money.
especially just with the way the nation is. I
Well,
mean, it's
I
not
mean,
even locally.
I understand the timeline. Maybe I don't understand the timeline correctly. So Jim, I'll defer to you. But like essentially this upcoming fiscal year would be planning. Hopefully the charter revision takes place where we could do a June 30th application prior to a referendum, but the referendum is November, but then the actual like build wouldn't start till like July of 2028, 2 years from now, correct?
Right.
Because you're going-
Yeah, well, so if you
Because you're going-
if
you're
you do a grant application next June,
Yeah,
it's
like-
27.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you won't start anything, you won't commit anything until you have a successful referendum.
Correct.
So let's say you have it in November.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna start hiring your consultants. You hire them in January, February, you start your design March, April of 28,
Yeah.
you're not in the ground until probably that following, and if you start that late, you're probably not hitting the ground, in the ground until summer of 29.
Yikes.
Yeah. And then, so, just so you're aware, the estimate that we gave had a
Yeah.
projected start date of, a grant application going in this year, so that has to be
Yeah,
updated.
everything would be like pushed back a year, correct?
Can I ask, when you talk about the design phase, that's where you're actually doing the engineering, the spec book, right?
Yeah,
And that's like 9 to 12 months.
at least 12, at least on, let's say for the high school, it would be a 12 to 14 month design period. Then you have about a 2 month approval period from the state. Cause you have to go local, which shouldn't be.
NEPA.
You have to go through the state for them to approve it, and they're taking much longer than they used to, at least up to 6 weeks. So we plan on, at least 2 months for state approval. Then you go out to bid. Bidding takes 2 months on a project of that size. Then you're starting construction.
And is there any benefit to having a referendum in September, or that 2 months that like it really doesn't matter?
I mean, it all depends on your.
On your point, sorry.
Right.
Oh,
Well, the only thing I will say is, and I think this needs to be looked into, is the quiet period. We're working with Woodbridge, and they were gonna have a referendum on election day. They found out if you have a referendum town question during a general election, you have a 60-day quiet period.
So you can't.
So you can't talk about the project for 60 days. So they elected to move it up to mid-October. So, and if you do that, you have a 15-day quiet period.
That makes sense.
yeah.
We also had a couple of people who recommended originally not doing it with the election, having it be a standalone question. It's beneficial.
If you tie it to a November election, the ballot has to be set by like September 9th or something. That's what triggers the silent period, is once the ballot is set.
Yeah.
With a referendum, I think it's 20 days. Between when the question is set by well, in our case.
But I think it also depends on the some towns have shorter periods.
So what our process has to be, because we have an open town meeting form of government, is the Board of Selectmen has to, and the Board of Finance have to approve the project to go to a referendum. Then we have to hold a town meeting that gets recessed to the ballot. So that you need a legal opinion as to when the question is set, whether it's when the town meeting for discussion purposes only is held, or noticed, or approved by the Board of Finance, or approved by, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah, I want to say, from what I heard in the past, I think it's the town meeting. Then at that town meeting, that's when the question is set. That's when the quiet period starts. But I'm not an attorney, so I would obviously.
So in a conventional referendum, it's much quicker.
Yeah.
And much shorter than if we use the November ballot, then the ballot has to be set by like Labor Day.
And
Plus the
Jason,
quiet period.
Right.
you had thought that it wasn't a good idea to do with a municipal election, but rather a gubernatorial one, right?
I
we've
always
missed that.
prefer with questions of high public importance, I always prefer the most turnout you can get. Most turnout you can get is presidential, followed by gubernatorial, followed by, I guess, a major municipal, and then by a non-major municipal.
So next year would be a major municipal. So it's the third highest.
Yeah, we'll get 3,000 voters.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get the 5,000 we'll get in a presidential year, or the 4,500 we'll get in a governor's year. The only reason I offer that as a factor to consider is it eliminates shenanigans. So you get a true reflection of what the electorate is willing to do.
Right. Right.
The smaller the electorate, the more shenanigans are able to affect it. As we all just saw 3 times.
So the consensus is go through the summer. Ask the Board of Selectmen to reconvene the ad hoc committee immediately. September, we're gonna go around the room. Say I'll start at that end this time. Usually start at
I have no preference.
Patrick.
Yeah, I think starting earlier makes sense. I don't think it makes sense to meet in July. I think there's some pieces that need some time. So I mean, restarting in
August.
August, makes, more sense to me.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, just looking at the timeline of what could actually happen and working backwards with what we need to get ready for that. That
Okay,
it's not gonna happen anytime soon.
Dave,
I'm for August.
Courtney.
Sounds fine.
Bye.
All right. I'd call on you, Betsy, but you're not part of that. I just don't want people to think of what about them at the end.
She just wants more communication and it needs to start at home, I think.
Yeah.
That might be where the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting communication.
That's a whole different, yeah, we're gonna go there.
You know,
So public participation, we've kind of had our public participants throughout the. Liam, did you have any thoughts, any comments? You've heard a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, thanks, Denise. I mean, I think the immediate thing I think we would like to, support the district in doing is updating, some of the messaging primarily on the website, just so the community is kind of clear. Some of the things we had kind of intimated might be happening this year won't be happening. So I think we'll need to work with Patrick on that in terms of making some pertinent changes to the language there, and then obviously continue to track the decision that the various bodies are going to make in terms of the course forward.
Thank you. Anything miscellaneous? Motion to adjourn, be in order,
so moved.
by Rick, seconded by
Second.
David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for being here.
That was in recording.
Okay. You have a quorum. Missing is Fran, who I would think is gonna be on her way. And Raymond. Anybody else? Heather, who I know is not coming. Excuse me. So we do have a quorum. I guess the meeting minutes that we need to approve are February 4th. March, April, May, we did not meet, waiting for information. So,
So I would make a motion to approve the February 4th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Second.
motion was made by Courtney, seconded by Dave. Any discussion, corrections?
Do you mean March 4th?
It's March.
Oh, it is March 4th.
We haven't met since March.
Oh, somebody said February.
Oh, yeah, we approved it, yeah.
We approved.
Oh,
the
we
February
approved
minutes.
February minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is March. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
You do it again.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve the March 4th, 2026 special meeting.
Second.
Made by Courtney, seconded by David. Any corrections, adjustments, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Were you part of the board then?
I was, but I was not in attendance.
But you still can vote.
I read it.
That's a unanimous vote, and I'm saying that because Jessica, I think, is taking minutes. And we are on to new business discussion. The legislative session updates. As most of you are probably aware, we had asked for three things of our legislators. One was the 80% reimbursement rate for, funding. The second was a 1 year extension. No, was it a 1 year extension or was it just
No,
months?
it was once, it was,
Like 6 months
not even, it was,
through September, October?
it's October and November.
October 1st, submission date.
So an extension of our submission date, and that had to do with our charter. It has this convoluted whatever. And the third was the space waiver. The legislative group, which is, Senator Anwar, Representatives Foster and, Hall, were not able to get those for us. The state rep, Foster gave me an update myself by phone. And she volunteered to come to the Board of Ed meeting. I wish we had more notice. It would have been good for you all to hear as well. But what she did say was that she and I rewatched that part of the meeting this afternoon to be sure I was accurate, that she has confidence that we can get this next year if we continue down that path. That it will be a likely, she expects it to be a better climate for bonding, both for the state and for the town. That we should consider improving our communications in a couple of different ways. One would be, I wish the Donovan Group was on here. How this project would be saving costs to the town, because that's something that the legislators can use for selling it to the state for funding. That it makes it a more viable project. That we need to address our declining student enrollment, although we have projected enrollment that should be going up. We've all seen those numbers. And that we should improve our communications with both the state and the town, as far as both sides of the town communicating effectively, and that we include all the legislators in consistent communication throughout the process. Those were the things that I got when I rewatched the meeting. Does anybody that was there, Courtney, Patrick, we were all there.
I think that was pretty consistent. Just 2 points to touch upon. She did suggest that she was willing to go, from what I recall, I did not go back and re-watch the video.
Up to 85%.
85%.
Yeah.
And then the other part, just a follow-up as far as additional information. I know we are working with CSG, as far as the gentleman who put us into, I know Ryan's here. Ryan, we provided Ed with all the information he needed, right? To
I believe just about everything. I can definitely follow up though. We were sending it.
Okay. And
for to provide the projected savings.
He called me on Tuesday.
Who did?
The gentleman at CSG put us in contact to provide like financial information to show like by going to right size buildings, what the cost savings would be for the district, and to go also from 3 to 2. So that is in the works.
he called me on Tuesday, but he called me because he said he hadn't heard back yet, or hasn't gotten.
Follow up because the office was working on pulling all of that data. So I can definitely
Yeah.
look into that. Yeah, because we definitely pulled everything. Make sure he got it.
Okay. Yeah, if you could, I would appreciate that.
He also, oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I didn't.
In my opinion, and the educational specialist who did the ed specs, one thing I think that you might want to emphasize with the legislators is your robust special education program.
That's where I was kind of headed, that Jamie also did suggest that we have a very solid reason for the space waiver and how it would be funded by the town. Because it's additional monies that does not come out of the 85% reimbursement. I mean, it's not part of the reimbursement money. It's separate.
Yeah, you would need special legislation for that as well.
She also pointed to, what Ellington, the model that they used, they did not have like an ad hoc committee like we have, but rather they have a permanent building committee, which we don't have in the same function. We have one that, and Joe, you've consistently, and Jason, you've consistently been part of that. I had been a long time ago and may have changed, but it is usually reactive to projects that are approved by the town, not in the beginnings of it. Is that correct still?
According to the, what is their charge or whatever, they're supposed to be the ones to start, manage, run through the whole thing.
So start means what?
Start means you come up with the concept of what you want to do and they take it from there.
So that's different than the road that we were going down. Thinking that,
Yeah, they're not part of the planning process,
Right.
correct? It's one, well,
no, but
one,
he's saying they are. No,
No, the concept is
Yeah,
given.
you're saying once it's done.
It's the
You're saying
legislature.
once it's done.
No, the town committee,
No,
the town's building committee.
is the legislator saying that it would be better if
no, what she was saying is she compared our process to Ellington and said in Ellington, they have a permanent building committee that from start to finish, but has representatives from all the, I don't know, the different
Committee
groups.
or school?
No,
it's a permanent, it's very similar to what you have here. It's a permanent building committee.
and it's a town.
Right.
That's
We
why
have that.
the building committee has a representative on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And, but they're the ones that hire the architect. They're the ones that put out the RFPs. They're the ones that vet them. And then
once
ultimately,
there's a plan.
once there's a plan, but you have to come up with the concept and say, this is what we want.
Okay, so she seems to be saying that the permanent building committee was part of getting the plan together.
I mean, we could assist, but I mean.
Right. Did you,
Maybe more than one person on.
what do they know of your needs? So you're supposed to come up with your needs. You have a concept and say, this is what we want. Take it. And then,
Yeah.
then they value engineer and all that. And
Because a lot of times building committees aren't formed until you have a viable project, or at least you're gonna submit a grant application. And once, I would assume once that happens here, then your permanent building committee will take over the project. But many towns don't have permanent building committees, so they're formed as a result of this process.
I mean, they're fully aware of, Jim was hired, they're fully aware of, I think they looked at the architect specs that went out, they gave you the concept. So they're in the process, but they're not really, they're not making any decisions. It should be, and it would be like telling them we need a new police station and let them design the police station. You really got to have a committee to say, so that's how we've done it,
We
since.
kind of have had the correct process.
Yeah, I
I
think,
would think so.
yeah, and they've been in, I mean, they haven't got a lot of updates because there hasn't been a lot of updates. They got a copy of the brochure when you guys did it back then, but we also have not met and we just canceled next Monday's meeting because since the community center got completed, there's really,
Nothing,
building
project.
not really, I mean, we got maybe a renovation project here or there, but they don't really.
yeah, so just, for a clarifying question, Joe and Dave, let's say like there was like a red flag that showed up on like the ed specs or something that was glaring, that would just come back here as far as notification, maybe through Dave and his participation.
Like the building committee would say, what? You can't have a 20-story high school?
Or like, hey, like, why is there a pool?
Yeah.
All right, I mean, ultimately,
Yeah,
they see. it
we're gonna see what your, you know, they're gonna see what your needs are and discuss it, but
after-
really they don't. And they've never in the past said, oh, no, they're not getting that. They're getting this and that's it.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
hasn't been my experience.
Right. It's, you know, they just want to build it. Basically.
Their job is to implement whatever recommendation is made to them.
Well, I just want to be sure wherever it's thought that.
Yes and no. It's their job to value engineer it, look at it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, so, and come back if they have changes. There's never been, in my experience, even going back to building this, there's never been them drawing the line in the sand and saying, no, you can't have air conditioning, or no, you know, I mean, it's always been why or what, or, you know.
Really, it has to do with when there's a project.
Right.
You know, the interpretation has been that there is a project once there is an approval. There is not an approval yet, so the building commission doesn't have a. Once a referendum were to pass, that triggers the ordinance, which puts the building committee in charge.
So I'm bringing up those suggestions only because we only have 2 weeks left as a committee. Board of Selectmen have made it for 18 months, Jay? So the 18 months will be up in a couple of weeks and we're out of a job. Which is not such a bad thing, but we have to continue this process somehow. And I want to be sure that whatever it is that anybody sees that we could do better.
I just have to say, from the perspective of being at the meeting with Jamie at the last meeting, something we have to improve on is the communication, because there was a serious breakdown of communication between what Jamie had going on and what she thought, I'm assuming we knew, was that things didn't get rejected, that they were in fact pulled.
That's right.
And we had correspondence with Jamie in March and in May and at the end of May. And we had these meetings and our discussions were waiting on approval or rejection. When in fact, we weren't waiting for rejection, they weren't there. So from the Board of Ed side, we had no idea about that. And Jamie seemed quite surprised that we were blindsided. Was anybody on the town side aware that these were pulled?
I was not.
So how do we think that we can do better at making sure whatever guidance Jamie received to pull those doesn't happen again without any of us apparently knowing? I think that's very important moving forward.
Said it was pulled like in March, wasn't it?
Like who?
She did it.
Yeah, by the.
And her orders from who?
by the
Correct. That's what I'm
committee.
really trying to figure out.
Not from the building committee, I'll tell you that.
No, that's not
Yeah.
the impression that we got.
No, not
It
at all.
was from the legislature itself,
Oh.
that they said there isn't enough information or there isn't something. But
Because we could have just had different discussions. We could have been looking at things much differently.
we could have been home doing our laundry.
Yeah. But I know at least as a board on the Board of Education, we're very passionate about this. And I think over the past 3 months, we would have utilized our time a little bit differently. So I hope if this was the right process and we do this again, that we can make sure that there's not a breakdown in communication like that, I guess. Said that.
So I wasn't at that meeting. So when you say something was pulled,
We never got rejected. Our space waiver, our referendum extension didn't get rejected.
yeah,
It
it was
wasn't
never presented.
correct. It was
And
pulled.
how come she didn't come back to us and tell?
I don't know. We have email.
Now she
said we're
wasting
not,
our time.
but she was here and she did a very good job when she came.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she blindsided unknowingly, I think, the board. Like she didn't realize that we weren't aware that these things were pulled. So if no one was aware, I think we definitely need to make sure we figure out what happened. So that, you know, our legislators are doing important work for us. We don't need to be wasting anyone's time.
Well, I think certainly one message that I got from watching the video of her meeting again was that all three legislators need to be included in all the information
Yes.
and in all the requests, that we should not be just relying on Jamie. So that was definitely a takeaway that I had.
Respectfully, Denise, I was at that meeting also, and I heard, as well as the communication among, legislators, I also heard the fact that we needed to kind of up our game, or to develop a different communication strategy for the community. So that was one of the things that I think that she also kind of talked about is, that community support and the community understanding what we were trying to do. This isn't a new thing. A lot of people, when they first start, my understanding, South Windsor, you were there. They needed a whole lot of help as far as the communication in their first go around. So, I think we're learning, but I think that communication with the community, is going to be really important. And, I know it's a difficult thing. But those conversations among people, I think are going to be important as we move forward. And
It's difficult to communicate if you're not communicated to, though.
But I also think it's a little hard to understand that. What else are we supposed to do to communicate?
well, I think that people need to understand that. I mean, I think that what people need to do is we need to have buy-in from our community overall. And
We've reached.
We've got nothing
to show them.
That's not a judgment for a legislator to make.
no,
It's
it's for us. It's for us.
I
In
just-
terms of moving
I
forward.
just watched the video this afternoon, like an hour ago. She did not specifically say communication to community. She said to the town, within the town. And we could say that's the community, but it seemed more that she was saying the town agencies need to coordinate better. That's why I asked about the building committee. I don't know what else we do. I don't know if there's a better way to do this than that ad hoc committee, Jay. I don't know. But we only have a couple weeks left, so it's, I guess maybe we take the summer off is my thought and come back together in the fall. In the meantime, the Board of Selectmen have time to think about maybe a better way to have a process, and the Board of Ed can have a better idea. And then maybe we have some kind of joint meeting where all of us are in the room, and maybe the building committee as well, so that we are all in the same room. The other person that she did say was important, Ryan, I'm going to throw you under the bus, because she did say in Ellington, their finance director was at the discussions. And I don't remember exactly what it was about it's the 527 meeting, and her thing started at 39 minutes. And it was maybe 10 minutes in that she started talking about Ellington's process. And it had something about the Board of Education, because she said, you don't have a finance director, and everybody turned to Ryan and pointed fingers like.
Yeah, they tell me what they wanted.
I don't remember.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm telling you,
Yeah, I mean, he's been
I've been at every meeting, so.
yeah,
um,
but I don't know if there was something different. Maybe you reach out to the Ellington person.
Board of
I don't know.
Finance person or the
I mean,
town finance
I-
person?
She was specific, yeah.
Do the other side of it, for bonding. and all that.
Yeah, because usually it's the town finance person that you want.
I understand. I'm just passing on what Jamie said.
The person she referenced to, he's no longer in that, but he had moved on several years ago, but he was the one that started
With,
at the time.
yeah,
You're talking about, yeah.
He said,
I
Yes, Brian, thank you.
worked with him at Craig.
I don't know. I'm just passing on what she had said to me, so that we're, in sync with what our legislator gave us as advice.
Brian Greenleaf was the one that actually spearheaded the project.
Correct. That's who she was referring to.
He used to work in Craig's construction division. That's.
Oh, so maybe that was a whole different role than,
Yes. Yeah.
so I think that's all I have on the legislative session update. Does anybody else, some of you were at that meeting, so you heard the same things I did. Patrick, Fran, Brittany.
It's a pretty good summary. I have stuff for some other items, but
going forward too, if she's gonna come to like a Board of Ed meeting, if we can all know, 'cause
No,
we're not on a Board of Ed, but
this was like,
yeah,
like the same day as the Board of Ed meeting. I called her about,
yeah.
I wanted to be sure that when I went to the Board of Ed meeting, that I had good direction as to what exactly happened. And she said, as a matter of fact, I can come if you like.
Okay.
So it was a very last minute,
Yeah.
but you're right, that would be a good.
Yeah, it
place.
would, just because
And
I
then-
feel like,
Yeah.
because there's different committees that
Second hand.
be together. Yeah.
Mhm. Does anybody have anything else on that first agenda item?
Would like to see that if going forward in the fall or whenever we pick this back up again, that we had a standing agenda item for a legislator, if one or two or all three,
Good idea.
so that they would be involved. They can give us an update. We can give them updates, they can, directly from the ad hoc committee.
Good idea. That's a very good. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to the charter revision update. And I looked at their minutes and tried to get a hold of Sarah. I could not.
I did talk to
Oh,
Andy.
okay.
I mean, Andy said they last met, he gave me the date, it was late April. I don't recall the exact date, but I know it's online. He said at this point, they're waiting responses from the town attorney to a number of questions, not necessarily specific to areas related to the referendum process, but my understanding is some of those questions are to the referendum process among questions about like other areas within the charter. He said, they have canceled a number of meetings. They are scheduled next Monday. And from, his indication, he believes, that meeting will take place, because he hadn't received a cancellation, to date. Obviously, this is reference to kind of like the antiquated process to get to referendum and hopes to cleaning that up. Now with the newest update and knowing that we're not going to referendum in November, obviously that's not as time sensitive as it previous was a few months ago.
Jason, do you know what they were envisioning for a change there?
Not specifically. She, Sarah sent me an email Monday or Tuesday with a laundry list of questions for Josh and Amy. At this point, I don't think they're gonna be at Monday's meeting, but their agenda is posted, so they're gonna be talking about, budget process, I think, is what was listed. Discuss and review research on the assigned town budget processes. So their next step, I guess, is to meet with Amy and Josh, whenever they're able to coordinate that. I don't expect it'll be Monday.
Yeah. Their minutes are very specific as far as what they're doing, but it says, section blankety blank of the charter, change blank to, whatever. It's not specific enough for somebody like a layperson to say, okay, so what are they thinking the change would be?
That was the same with the list of questions that Sarah had sent.
Oh.
Like I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what you're asking here. So it's not even like I could help speed that up. I really don't know what it is they're asking.
So when you charged the charter revision, did you give them any priorities? Was there something about the referendum process that was given to them?
I don't recall. Do you recall? Were you seated when they started?
I don't think so.
I don't recall if we gave it. So the way it works is when a charter revision commission is impaneled, you can get the appointing authority can give them directions that they want them to look at, but you open the whole thing. And I don't remember if they were given a specific
Yeah.
charge or not.
On that, yeah.
I know I did talk about the provision in section 10 of the charter, which talks about applying for grants.
Oh, so that, yeah,
But I don't recall if we gave them direction on the budget process, because the last iteration of the charter charter revision was given that mandate, and they spent a fair amount of time workshopping 5 or 6 different alternatives, and they couldn't come up with anything better than what we have, which is truly surprising.
I agree. From a registrar's hat. Agree. Okay, So I guess there really is no charter revision update other than that they're working on it and he's waiting for legal opinion, so.
Not a legal opinion. Clarity on
Oh.
what their questions are, not a legal opinion.
Oh, there's been group cases. Hello there. Hi, Liam. So, I guess we're on to planning and next steps, which is the next agenda item. And I have no plan and I have no next steps, except that my term is up in 2 weeks and I'm fine with that. So, I suggested maybe we take the summer to sort of regroup, but that's just my opinion. I don't know if that's something that we all think is a good idea. I don't know. I mean, certainly the Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen meet in the meantime, you know, during those 2 months. Maybe we can come to some consensus of something. I don't know. Your thoughts, everybody?
We need to be like reorganized by the Board of Selectmen.
It would have to be either extended or can you extend you can extend yeah. Or,
You can do another 18-month charge.
or you could do a different kind of committee if you think.
No, I was just curious because then when we take the summer off, then we're dissolved and then when would we start back up again and how would that happen?
It could be it would be Board of Selectmen, we would appoint another committee. Could be the same thing, right?
Unless there was,
Sorry, Dave, I didn't hear.
That's okay. So we could start, maybe meet up before school starts back up. Just to kind of get back into the loop of things.
Yeah, but in order to meet up, we'd have to be either
Reappointed.
reappointed or
It just sounds like.
Yeah.
Shit, the board of selectmen can do.
How do you feel about this committee? Do you feel it's been effective? Because I know Board of Ed members have been critical about what's been accomplished by it. So is there something we should do different? Should we do some other kind of committee? I would think the Board of Selectmen would want the guidance of that if there's a change to be made.
I'm just curious, just in general, the demographic study, now that that was done years ago, and I know we have a few housing developments that are going to change. I mean, should it be done again?
We can do an update.
I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, I don't
think,
see I don't know what the benefit to that would be though.
Apartment complexes don't bring in a lot of kids.
Well, if you're gonna submit, well, let's just say for argument's sake, you submit next year for next June 30th. I think at that point, the demographic study will be 3 years old.
Mhm.
I think the state would like to see it at least 2 years old and then there's a possible.
For the application, we would have to update it anyway.
I think it would be a good idea to update it because I'm not sure you want to go in there with information that is 3 years old. 2 years old is kind of, pushing it. A lot of towns, the bigger cities will do a update regardless of whether they're doing a project or not every 2 years.
Jason, do you know what's in the works for, I know there's apartment complexes. Is there a lot of subdivisions coming up?
no. Apartment complexes.
Apartments don't generate.
Yeah, there's, so there is,
Percentage.
there's 180 units apartment complex that's being proposed for, I think it's 180. Or North Road next to,
That's property.
no, Soapy Noble. And of that, probably 180 units, I think there are 4 3-bedroom units.
Yeah.
4-bedroom unit or 3-bedroom units are what has kids and they just don't pencil out cost wise. You're better off buying a house. So we're talking studios, 1 and 2-bedroom units. There's another 172 units that are slated for the intersection of North and Mullen Road. That's a combination condo and apartment. That's the same scenario. They're 1 and 2-bedroom. And then there's one that is not nearly as far along on the site that had been designated for the Lowe's. In fact, I think during your tenure, and that is 300 units with a mixed use component, but I haven't seen anything close to a floor plan. The guy is not anywhere near as far along as the other two I talked about.
But even like Canyon Ridge did not contribute for kids. Yeah.
Out of 2,100 people,
I think it's one family too. No, I'm
Wow.
pretty sure it is.
4 kids in an apartment. Thanks. So, yeah, it certainly is something to think about, but I guess if we need
I gotta
An
believe
update.
that's pretty simple though, like,
Yeah.
because
It should be, yeah, I don't, I think if you give them a call, they should be able to do a.
what do you think the cost and the time is?
You know, I don't know what the cost would be, off the top of my head. It shouldn't be anywhere near what the original, uh, study was, but I don't know. I can try and find out for you.
Oh, how about the timeline?
That shouldn't be too long. I would say about 2-3 weeks. It all depends on how busy they are. Usually,
All
when
right, so
they're
call it
doing,
2 months and you're safe.
yeah, when they're up doing the updates, that's, you know, when they have the basic information already.
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
just-
have those hay of building.
Yeah. If the charter revision does happen, is there any thought as to when you would want to do a referendum?
That was my question too.
Trigger one anytime.
I'm just thinking that, you know, this situation with the legislators, if you do one before you submit the grant application, you, historically, I heard March is usually a good month to do one.
we wouldn't even know then if we get the, you know, the,
No, if you have special legislation, that's true.
we couldn't sell this without the removal.
Yeah,
That was one of my questions, because Jim, when I talked to you, you said at any point you can get additional reimbursement. You said the construction could even start. You could.
that has happened, for instance, in, Norwich, 2 of the buildings, we got special legislation after the grant application went in, to increase the reimbursement rate to 80%.
So then, Jason, think about this scenario. You go to the voters with
Right, that's
an
the,
$80 million project and you say, we promise we're gonna get special legislation. We just don't know what it is. You're going in with that 80, we couldn't do that. Do you agree?
Yeah, I have no opinion.
Yeah, well, my question was like, do you
Yeah.
prioritize one, like the middle school, high school project versus both projects? And move forward with one. But I hear what you're saying too. As far as knowing what the reimbursement is on
yeah,
each, we're basically in the same boat we were before then, because
Yeah.
next year's a long legislative session, so we're basically also still asking for the extension again.
well, you can do this. You can submit the grant application by June 30th. And have your referendum, set a date for your referendum in the future, as long as it's on or before election day. And you have to submit your, you couldn't do that here right now, the way the charter
If
was.
the charter gets revised, we could do that. All right.
I'm tracking now.
Okay.
So,
So I'm assuming that, let's say the charter gets revised, we could submit next June 30th with a referendum date. I don't know, September, October, whatever, or by, no later than, election day.
Why that as a target? I said, no, son, why that as a target? I thought you couldn't, I thought November was too late to do that.
No, November is the,
Because the
they
grant,
allow you up to, election day, but you have to get the results to them within like 5 days of election day.
Okay.
Because what ends up happening is they have to submit the, priority list by December 15th. So they have to know, they have to compile all the information for the priority list. So they have to know if you have a viable project or not. So that's why they put the cutoff of election day. But they also do election day because they know it's expensive to do elections, so they figured, you know, you're gonna be setting up for election day for the most part anyway. So they give you until that. Most towns don't do it on election day, but you know, that's up to you. That's up to the particular town.
So I think going back to your question, Denise, as far as like next steps to, like, to me, it would make more sense to wait, like when the work gets picked back up. As far as waiting for the charter revision to take place, because then once that takes place, hopefully we would know what timeline or framework we're working in hopes that the revisions take place where we could do an application by June 30th without having to go to a vote or anything. And then we can still wait for the results of special legislation as far as water reimbursement goes.
Right.
And I was let to understand by somebody from South Windsor who was very surprised they got a reimbursement rate increase, and they don't even have a project ready yet. That the reimbursement increase does not expire. Is that correct? Do you know?
It could be, it's there for a specific project. So for instance, Norwalk and Stanford got a 25-year duration of an increased reimbursement rate from, I think they were like in the 30s, low 30s, 33% was Norwalk. I don't know what Stanford's was. Their legislators, their senators got them a 60% for the next 25 years, and that was done 4 years ago. But when you get a reimbursement rate, it's typically for a particular project, not forever.
Yeah, really, yeah, Denise, are you referring to this most recent,
Yeah, the high
Session.
school.
so I know they got two reimbursement rates. Both additional, like 20% here, 20% there, to put them close to 80%. I'm wondering if one of the 20%, maybe there was,
Like overlap or something?
no, like where they have an extended timeline. I know at least one of them, there is a timeline because they have to have, and talking with their superintendent, like they have to have, like, be ready to go, their application, everything in, this school year, because I know they're in a crunch, because they only have the land identified to build the new high school.
And they got their reimbursement rate already.
Oh, yeah, so that's it's two different pieces. So you have to, it's 20% here, 20% here. You take the 40, you add it to, I think they're 38, and then it puts them at 78%
Wow.
for their high school project. So I'm wondering if one definitely does have a timeline, but maybe not both pieces.
Yeah. So if they don't accomplish one,
Correct, they're going to
they'll
lose that.
lose that one, but they
Yeah,
get
so
their-
they're looking like to move. So like,
That's strange. How would they get that if they don't even have plans? They don't have land?
Well, there's another, well, I could get into it, but
That does happen.
Branford has a similar situation, it sounds like. Where they don't even have a grant application in. We're scrambling right now to try to get something for October 1st.
yeah, so South Windsor doesn't have ed specs. They don't have the architect. I mean, now they may have since, like, I'm sure they're moving pretty fast, but
We're doing just the feasibility study right now on two of the elementary schools. We met with the third school earlier this week. We're, motoring along, trying to get this grant application prepared for October 1st.
We had all that. How they get it? I don't have any.
Yeah, I
could ask you a
stronger
question.
legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they had nothing, and the town didn't even ask for October 1st. The legislator got it, and now we're like, oh, no.
Okay. So that's all interesting. I guess I don't have any other ideas on planning or next steps. We did notice a meeting for 6:15, but all the members of the Board of Ed that are here, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and Noreen is gonna be 5, so we'll have enough. So I'm just gonna, call Noreen and put her on the line, but we can continue this discussion. Any other ideas on planning and next steps? Rick, Jason, from the Board of Selectmen side.
The need remains clear. So I think
Hi, we're still in the ad hoc meeting, but I'm gonna connect you anyway, okay? Okay, go ahead.
the need remains clear. So we need to continue some process going forward. Not sure whether splitting the projects at some point might become necessary. We didn't have a very good environment for approval of public spending in the recent referendum.
Mm.
Things can change. Our promotion of the projects can change. It's gonna be difficult either way. The need is clear and we need to move forward. But we have to recognize how difficult it is going to be over the next couple of years.
Yeah, you both have, I mean, the roofs too, you have to take in consideration for Broadbrook and the high school. We have money in CNR for the roof, so we're utilizing some of that funding to conduct infrared scans to see exactly how much lifeline is left, because I had asked through Kyle, reached out to our rep through the Garland company, asking how long could we Band-Aid the Broadbrook roof? Thinking that we could Band-Aid it for quite a while, because I feel like we've been Band-Aiding the high school roof for quite a while. I was kind of surprised by his answer, Kyle. It was 3 years he put in the email, right?
Yeah.
So that caught me off guard, because I was expecting him to say like 10 years.
Just for projects?
Correct. And so then he said, there's really no way you can really tell unless you really do like an in-depth analysis. And he suggested infrared scans. So we are doing infrared scans of both roofs. But my thought too, though, is I think, and Joe, you might know this. How long ago was the modulars like I know we're in one of them like done? Was it about 12 years ago now? 16. Completed in 16. 10. All right. So, but point being, if you wait the other 10 years, correct, you would you could include that in the full renovate to new project, correct?
Right.
So you.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, because it would be 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, and from when we asked, I forgot who the architect group was. It was,
DWIB.
yeah, I mean, within their design, they said the Broadbrook roof, it wasn't going to change. Like obviously the spaces in between and the renovate to new, versus the high school. You get a new high school roof, you're responsible for that roof for the next 20 years. Plus, because the building is oversized, my understanding is you get less of a reimbursement. So it'll be a very poor investment, which then goes back to prioritizing middle school, high school, and knowing that there's some benefits too for waiting for Broadbrook as well.
Right, and don't forget, recently we covered the additions out of the renovations for Broadbrook was because of the fact that we recently finished in 2016 a renovation, so we didn't want to get penalized for that, and that's another legislative action that we needed was I would like to get that is that you don't get penalized because this is one building now. The OGA may look at it that way. So if you get legislation that says this 14,000 square foot addition, well, not this, that, and this will not be penalized for reimbursement if you were going to get both projects. That, in my opinion, would still need to be it would be belts and suspenders for, and the you want to get that legislatively approved, or at least special legislation saying this, would not be part of the overall project, and as a result, East Windsor does not get penalized for it being less than 20 years.
That's down the road. That's for Barbara School.
That's for this school, correct?
Could we recess this meeting for 5 minutes, call to order the Board of Ed meeting, and then come back to this discussion? That way we can get the minutes ready for Board of Selectmen to have theirs at their meeting, and I have Marina here. Marina, are you still here? Marina, are you still here? Are you?
I said my home and you saw my wife said one really fast.
Okay, so a motion would be in order.
I know that's.
And